Hey, what's up? It's Nathan here with thebtccourse.com. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up a Trezor Hardware Wallet. We're going to go through some of the settings. We'll receive some Bitcoin, we'll send some Bitcoin, and then I'll show you how to connect to Sparrow Wallet, which is my favorite tool for managing my Bitcoin and Bitcoin transactions, and I'll explain why when we get to that part. So anyway, let me go ahead and hop over to my computer and we'll get into it. So here I am in my ledger, and you can see that it says to go to trezor.io/start. So that's where I am over here. And they have a desktop app, which I usually use, but for some reason it's lagging right now and it's not working correctly. So we're going to be using the Trezor Suite for web, and it has the same functions and everything else. So you won't notice any difference if I'm doing the web demonstration or the app demonstration. So I'll go ahead and click into the web one, but that's something to note. If the desktop version's not working for you, use the web version. Alright, so security check, firmware is already installed on the connected Trezor. So I've already plugged this thing in before, and I installed my firmware on it, and I selected the Bitcoin only firmware. So it'll give you an option to select either Bitcoin only or like all universal firmware, where you can use Ethereum and stuff like that as well. But I only care about Bitcoin, so I selected the Bitcoin only firmware. But if you want other coins on your Trezor, then you can go ahead and select the other firmware option. Now I'm going to go ahead and do setup Trezor, and again my firmware is already ready. If you don't have firmware ready yet, it'd give you some options here, and I already explained them to you. So I'm going to do continue, and now we can go ahead and create a new wallet or restore one from backup. So I'm going to create a new wallet, but if you already have 12, 18, 24 word seed phrase, you could go ahead and restore your wallet, but I'm going to create a new one. So click on create new, and then choose how to back up your Trezor. This process will also create a standard wallet for you. Okay, so standard seed backup. And so we'll click on that. And we can see on my Trezor now, it says, do you really want to create a new wallet? By continuing, you agree to trezor.io/terms of service. So I'll press the little button to confirm, and needs backup. All right, so we see the option to create backup. So I'll click on that. All right, and so it explains a few things. So your seed backup lets you recover your funds in case of Trezor loss or damage. Okay. Never take a picture or make a digital copy of your backup. So you don't want to store this online. You want to write it down on pen or on paper, and maybe even stamp it into metal someplace or somehow that is not going to be, or it's going to be fire resistant, waterproof. You don't want it to be stolen, because these 24 words that they're about to give you is your username and password for accessing your Bitcoin on the blockchain. So if you lose these 24 words, or someone else gets a hold of them, like, you won't be able to get to your Bitcoin, or somebody else will be able to take all your Bitcoin. So these are very, very important words that you're about to write down. So it's trying to make sure that you understand how important this is. So you don't want to store your words, your seed phrase on the cloud, because it could get compromised. And then store your seed backup securely and never share it with anyone, like I was just saying. So okay, so begin backup. So seed backup is a series of randomly generated words created by your Trezor. It's important that you write this seed backup, as the only way to recover and access your funds. Again, super important to do a good job on this. So now you can see over here, my first word is smooth. So I'm going to get some pen and paper and start writing these things down, and I'll just click through the next one. So we got slight and so on. So I'm going to go ahead and write down my 24 words, and I'll be right back. And so I went through and wrote down all 24 words, and now it's asking me to go back through and double check to make sure I did them accurately. And you definitely want to do this, because if you ever do need to restore your device or access your Bitcoin and you need the seed phrase, well, you want to make sure that you have it in the correct order. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to access your Bitcoin, because it'll be an entirely different seed phrase, and the seed phrase generates your private keys. And if you have a different private key, well, you're not going to have access to your Bitcoin. So you want to make sure that your seed phrase is written down correctly, in case you lose this device and you need to use that seed phrase. So go back through and make sure it's all correct. Alrighty, so I went through and confirmed my seed phrase. Now it says my wallet backup is complete, so we'll continue to the PIN now. And we strongly use a strong PIN protects your Trezor from unauthorized physical access. So this PIN protects your Trezor device if you lose it somewhere and somebody would need the PIN in order to access it. It doesn't actually secure your Bitcoin on the blockchain. It's just, the PIN's just for this device on its own. So use a strong pin. Okay, confirm on Trezor. So do you really want to set a new pin? So I'll say yes, I do. Confirm. All right, so this part threw me off a little bit the first time I went through it. So I got to look at the numbers on my Trezor and then press them on my computer in the order that I want. So if my pin was 1, 2, 3, I would do 1, and then I'd do 2 in the bottom left-hand corner, and then 3 in the bottom right-hand corner on my computer, and we'll do 4. So 4 over on the mid-left side, and then enter. And then you see on my Trezor, it changed the order of the numbers, but my pin is still 1, 2, 3, 4. So this time I'd press the middle one, 1, and then 2 is on the far left bottom, 2, and then 3 is above it, and then 4 is bottom middle, and enter pin. And so you want to write down your pin and keep it safe, separate from your recovery seed. Use it to unlock your Trezor when you need to access your funds. So if you happen to lose your pin, you can still restore your wallet if you have those 24 words, because the 24 words is what's important. We'll go ahead and continue now. All right, now I need to go ahead and activate coins. So I have Bitcoin activated because I installed the Bitcoin only firmware, but if you installed the other one, you'd have other options. And while we're here, I want to address a setting. So I'm going to click on this gear icon. And right here you can see that we could go ahead and select a different server if we want to. So I could select a custom blockbook server, and actually on the desktop version you can select a custom Electrum server, so your own node. So I guess you do need the desktop version in order to do all the full functions, but if you have your own node, you want the desktop version of the Trezor software. But I just wanted to show you that you can select your own node using the Trezor suite. And I'm going to go ahead and do complete setup now. Alright, so I can go ahead and edit the name of my device or change the home screen. I don't know, that's just fancy stuff. I'll go ahead and access the suite. And now it gives me the option to select my wallet type. So there's standard wallet, which has no passphrase, and then a hidden wallet, which is a passphrase is required. I'm not going to set up a hidden wallet right now. I'll come back to that later on because passphrases are a little bit advanced, and I just want to get through the basic stuff before we get to the advanced stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and do standard wallet with no passphrase, and again, we'll come back to passphrases later in this video. And just like that, my wallet is ready to use, so that's awesome. And before we do anything, I want to come up here to the top right and go into settings and try and point out some different settings you might want to adjust. So first one is labeling. So labeling allows you to rename your wallets, accounts, and addresses. Labels are applied by syncing with Dropbox or Google Drive. I recommend turning this on so that way you can better keep track of your Bitcoin transactions, your UTXOs or unspent transaction outputs, where they came from, are they KYC, non-KYC, etc. So it's best to label all your different ins and outs of your transaction so you know what it is you're sending and receiving. All right, so my Trezor now says enable labeling. So yes, I want to enable labeling. And then it says please select where I want to save them. So I'll go ahead and set up my Google Drive real quick. And now labeling is turned on. I could change my color scheme and stuff like that, but I think the labeling is the main thing I wanted to show you in this area. Coming over to device now. So we have backups, versions, firmware. So here you could go ahead and switch to universal. If you went Bitcoin only at first and you're like, shoot, I do want to own some Ethereum. You could switch over to universal and then you could have Ethereum on your Trezor wallet. Pin, change pin, passphrase. Yep, all this stuff is fine. All this stuff is pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to address it right here. Let's come over to crypto real quick. And yeah, the other option here was to be able to change to your node. So that's what I wanted to show you, and I've already shown you that. So anyway, we're going to come back out to dashboards, and we need to receive some Bitcoin before we can actually, do anything with it. So I'm going to go ahead and do receive, and here it gives me an address. So I'm going to do show full address, and I get an address here, so I'm going to go ahead and copy it. Or if I have my phone, I could go ahead and scan this QR code if I'm sending from like a mobile wallet or something like that. And you can see my Trezor updated, and it shows the same address on my Trezor as it does on my computer. So that way, I can confirm that I'm using the correct address. So I'll just go ahead and hit confirm. and then I'm going to go ahead and go to where my Bitcoin is. So I have some Bitcoin on Coinbase, so an exchange, and I want to send it to my hardware wallet. So I'm going to load up Coinbase, and within Coinbase, I'm just going to go to send and receive, but I want to send. And I'm going to go ahead and plug in my Trezor Wallet. And let's say I want to send just $20, and I'll go ahead and plug in my Trezor Wallet address. I could add a note, but I'm not going to. I'll go ahead and click on continue now. And then here's information, and I'll just go ahead and send now. Now, normally I would not send this low amount of Bitcoin on chain because the fees will get to me, as well as it'll generate new UTXOs or unspent transaction outputs, and then fees might eat me alive later on. And I have a video on UTXOs and the mempool. I highly recommend you watch those two videos if you're doing on-chain transactions, because it'll explain fees and how they work and how to take advantage of them and basically not get screwed over by being charged too high a fee. So links in the description down below. Mempool, UTXOs, check those out before you do on-chain transactions. And I'm going to go ahead and plug in my 6-digit code. Alright, so my transaction is being sent. It usually takes about 30 minutes. Let's go ahead and view this transaction. Get my address real quick. And I'm going to go to mempool.space. And I'm going to plug in my transaction. And the mempool is pretty slammed right now. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. Hope it's not even showing up yet, so we'll give it a second. Alrighty, so here's my transaction. Let me come back out. I can see that I'm going to be in this first block right here, so I just need to wait for it to confirm. So I needed to cross this dotted line right here and become confirmed. You can see it says unconfirmed right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and wait until it confirms. And guess what? It confirmed very, very quickly, so that is awesome. So let me come back over to the Trezor suite. And I can see right now I have a balance in my wallet here, so $20.02. And if I click on it right here, it converts it to sats, or I can show it in Bitcoin. So I have 98,871 sats, or about $20.02, or 0.00098871 Bitcoin, which is the same amount of US dollars. It generates, or Trezor Suite generates a new fresh wallet address. So if I wanted to send another transaction to my Trezor wallet, but then I'd send it to this address right here. So, and if I come down here to this transaction, I could go ahead and add that label. So this is where labeling comes in handy. So I might say like from Coinbase KYC. So I know that this Bitcoin, this 0.00098871 Bitcoin came from Coinbase, and of course Coinbase has all my personal information, so this is KYC Bitcoin. So that's how I would probably label it, so I remember what the heck this one is, so that way if I go to send it somewhere, I know what I'm sending. And so labeling your Bitcoin is just good standard practice, so that way you can keep track of where it came from and you don't send a piece of Bitcoin that you don't mean to send. Or if you have non-KYC Bitcoin, so it's they don't know who owns it, you don't want to merge that with Bitcoin that's KYC, because then obviously the tracking agencies would see like, oh, he took this KYC Bitcoin and this non-KYC Bitcoin and merged it together, so he must have owned that non-KYC Bitcoin. So it's just about privacy and stuff like that, and that's kind of advanced, but I explain it as best I can in my UTXO video, so hopefully that helps you out. And that's pretty much it for receiving. Pretty self-explanatory stuff right there. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of receiving. And now my dashboard looks a little different here. So I can see how much Bitcoin I've added to my account, the number of transactions, incoming, outgoing, and so on. So, got some basic details or overview. I can click on the details tab and it tells me what type of wallet I have. So I'm using Segwit. And I can also find my XPub information under here as well. So if you're looking for that, it's under the details section. If you don't know what XPub is yet, then don't even worry about it. But don't share this information with people. They wouldn't be able to steal your Bitcoin with it, but they'd be able to identify how much Bitcoin you have. So if you want to keep that amount private, don't show anybody your XPub. All right, coming back over to overview. And next up, we can go ahead and send Bitcoin now that we have some. So I'm going to go ahead and click on send. And so now I can send it to an address. So I'm going to send it just back to Coinbase. So it's kind of counterproductive that I'm sending and receiving all on the same day. But I'm doing it for demonstration purposes. And I'm going to receive. So Coinbase gave me this address to send it to. So I'm going to come back and plug in this address here. And I'll go ahead and add a label. Again, good practice to keep track of everything. Send to Coinbase KYC. So the amount I want to go ahead and send. So I'm going to just do max. So it's that amount right there. I'm going to basically have it because I want to leave a little bit of Bitcoin in my wallet for my Sparrow wallet demonstration. There's some other advanced features here, which is kind of nice with Trezor. So I want to try and explain them real quick. So we could go ahead and add a lock time. So lock time sets the earliest time a transaction can be mined into a block. So if you want to delay the delivery of this Bitcoin transaction, you could go ahead and set a lock time. Maybe you're waiting for something to happen in real life before the Bitcoin sends over. So you could go ahead and add a lock time before that happens. RBF is replaced by fee. So this is a node policy that allows an unconfirmed transaction in a mempool to be replaced with a different transaction that spends at least all of the same inputs and which pays a higher transaction fee. So what that's trying to say is, with the mempool full like this, if you bid 1 sat per vbyte, which would be very, very low, your transaction might not be included in a block for days. So you might need to bump up your fee to maybe, 20 sats per vbyte. And so if you enable replace by fee, it gives you the opportunity to, bump up that fee so you could be included in another block. So by default, they have RBF on, and I usually leave it on as well. And since we're sending, we probably want to have broadcast on, but if you're creating a partially signed Bitcoin transaction, or you're just trying to set up the transaction, you could go ahead and turn that off. And then you could go ahead and wait to broadcast that transaction if you want to. I'm going to leave it on because I want to send it now. And then we have coin control. So this is where you can go ahead and select which piece of Bitcoin you want to send. So this is the UTXOs that I was talking to you about previously. Please watch that video if you're unfamiliar. And currently in my wallet, I only have one UTXO. However, if I had a bunch of transactions, I'd have a bunch of UTXOs, and I could go ahead and select which ones I want to send. And of course, I could go ahead and add labels to them as well. So this would be from Coinbase KYC. Same type of naming convention as I added to my wallet. So I'd keep track of my UTXOs. Please watch that video if you haven't already. And so, again, I only have one here, so there's nothing, nothing to select really. But that's where I could go ahead and do that. Also, I could add recipients. So if I want to do send, $10 to one address, and then I could send, $5 to another address and $5 to another address, I could go ahead and do that as well within the Trezor suite. So that's cool functionality. So Trezor suite actually has a pretty good set of functionality, which is nice. And so I'm trying to point it all out to you. Now we can go ahead and do the fees. So here's low, economy, normal, high, and custom. And usually what I'll do is I'll go to the mempool.space and see what the fees are. So to be in this, next block or the second next block, I probably want to be about 20 sats per vbyte. So I'm going to go ahead and set a custom fee of 20 sats per vbyte, and that'll cost me about 58 cents. And then I'd go ahead and review and send, and it's going to pop up a message on my ledger. So it wants me to confirm. So confirm sending blah 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 to blah blah blah, confirm. And then confirm sending blah, 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 including fee. So it gives me the fee amount that I'm agreed to spend. Confirm. So it's signing that transaction. And then I can go ahead and send it. And poof, it's out. And it looks like it got a little frozen. I'm going to click on dashboard real quick and accounts. And maybe it'll kind of unfreeze. Or maybe I'll hit refresh real quick. Let's see what that does. All right, so now I can see if I scroll down, I have a pending transaction right here. And so I could add another label to it if I want to. If I click on it, it gives me some details like the transaction ID. So if I click over here, it brings me to their block explorer. But I'm going to go ahead and copy it and go to mempool.space because I think it's a prettier experience. And so here I am in that second block. There's my 20 sats per vbyte. There's my fee. Here's all my settings that I set up. Remember that RBF, so that's activated here. A detail of my transaction and so on. So it looks like it's working here. I just got to wait for the block to confirm. Here's bump fee. So if you did set it for 1 sat per vbyte and your transaction's pending for days, you could come in here and bump that fee up if you turned on RBF, replaced by fee. So you could go ahead and click on that if you want to, in order to increase your fee and get into a earlier block. And that's pretty much it for receiving and sending Bitcoin. Now I want to go over some advanced settings and also talk about Sparrow Wallet. So let's go ahead and do that. And so I'm going to come up to my accounts and click on this plus button here, and I'm going to select a Bitcoin account. And right here I could go ahead and change the type of wallet or account that I want to create. So the default is SegWit, and that plays nicely with like all the exchanges, all the other wallets, etc. Taproot is new, and you would need Taproot if you're doing ordinals. So if you're setting up ordinals, you'd want to set up a Taproot account. But if you're not doing ordinals, you probably want to stay away from Taproot right now. Some wallets, some exchanges don't support Taproot addresses. So just be careful selecting Taproot. If you don't know what you're doing, don't select it. Select SegWit. And there's Legacy SegWit and Legacy, and these are basically out of date right now. So SegWit's the default, so probably want to stick with that. And you could go ahead and add an account. And now I basically have a second account here that's going to have a different set of addresses that I can send Bitcoin to, but it's all connected to the same seed phrase. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, what I want to go ahead and do is actually unplug my Trezor real quick. And then I'm going to go ahead and plug it back in. That just kind of resets things a little bit. So I need to go ahead and enter my PIN. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I am into my wallet. Now this time I want to talk about a hidden wallet. So this is a passphrase is required. So a passphrase is considered the 25th word of your seed phrase. So you have your seed phrase, which is those 24 words, and then your passphrase can be anything. Lowercase letters, uppercase letters, numbers, symbols, up to 100 characters could be your passphrase. So it's another level of security. However, if you forget your passphrase, you won't be able to access your Bitcoin. So you want to be very careful about using a passphrase. You want to use something that you might forget, or you might forget, 10 years from now when you're trying to access your Bitcoin, because you need this to get to it. If you have your 24 words but don't have your passphrase, sorry, you can't get to your Bitcoin. So be very careful adding a passphrase. But for the sake of example, I'm going to go ahead and add AAA, 3 lowercase a's for my passphrase. And I'll access my hidden wallet now. So I got some instructions on my ledger, my Trezor. So access hidden wallet. Next screen will show the passphrase. Confirm. There it is, AAA. Use this passphrase, confirm. So it's check-in balances here. And so this hidden wallet is empty. To make sure you are in the correct hidden wallet, please type the passphrase again. So AAA. I understand passphrases cannot be retrieved, unlike everyday passwords. So yes, you're responsible for your passphrase, just like you're responsible for those 24 words. So be careful. And then follow the instructions on your Trezor. All right, so next screen will show the passphrase, AAA, confirm. And enable labeling, yes I do. All right, so here I am. I'm inside of my Trezor hidden wallet number 1. So this will function just like my other account now. It's just now I have that passphrase associated with it. So in order to get to this wallet, again, I need the 24 words plus the passphrase to access this wallet. And it's going to have a whole different set of addresses that I can send Bitcoin to and everything else. And so that's a little primer on passphrases, or hidden wallets as Trezor calls them. If you need more details, I'll include some articles in the description down below that you can check it out, but you certainly don't need to set up a passphrase. All right, so this next portion of the video, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to set or connect your Trezor to Sparrow Wallet, which is my preferred tool for managing Bitcoin transactions. Like, I don't use this Trezor suite at all. I do everything in Sparrow Wallet because, it's just one platform that I've learned how to use, and there's other functions and features in it for privacy, labeling, and so on that, just makes it a great piece of software to use. And I do have a full tutorial on Sparrow Wallet, so if you're interested, check out that video as well. So I'm going to hop over to Sparrow Wallet real quick and we'll get this Trezor connected. So here I am in Sparrow Wallet, and I want to go to File and New Wallet, and I'm going to call this thing Trezor Demo. And I'll do Create Wallet. All right, so similar to the Trezor suite, we got a couple different settings. So we have policy type, so single signature or multi-sig. So it's one benefit of Sparrow Wallet. You can set up a multi-sig, and I have a video on that if you're interested. Script type, so native SegWit or Taproot if you're doing ordinals. But again, I recommend leaving native SegWit unless you know what you're doing. So we'll leave that. I'm not going to mess with this information. But what we want to do is do connected hardware wallet. So select that option, and then we'll go ahead and scan. And so Sparrow found my Trezor 1 right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on unlock. And I need to enter my PIN. So just like the other Trezor suite, 1, 2, 3, 4. Enter PIN. Unlocking. And here it's asking about the passphrase. So this is that hidden wallet. So I could type in AAA to access that one hidden wallet. But I'm going to leave it blank because I don't want to access that wallet. So if you don't want to do the passphrase, leave it blank. And you can actually do toggle passphrase off. So I'll do that. And it's toggling passphrase off. Check device. So do you really want to disable passphrase protection? Confirm. And then I'll go ahead and click on import key store. Alrighty, so the key store has been imported. I could go ahead and give my device a unique name if I want to, but I'm just going to leave it the default right now. And then this is just some information that you don't want to mess with. Here's your XPub though. So there's that information that you don't want to share with anybody. And we'll go with apply. And then it is recommended to set a password on your Sparrow wallet. However, I'm not going to in this video just for the sake of time. But you would if you were doing this for real. And again, I have a video about Sparrow Wallet that goes into a lot more details. So link in the description down below if you're interested in using Sparrow. So I'm going to come over to transactions real quick. And you should see that I actually have, some Bitcoin in my wallet because I'm using the same information to access the blockchain, right? My seed phrase or my private keys are stored on this Trezor device. And so that's what's responsible for connecting to the Bitcoin blockchain, and that's where my Bitcoin is. So no matter if I'm using the Trezor suite or Sparrow wallet or some other wallet, if I plug in the same seed phrase, I'm going to access the same Bitcoin. So I could switch between, if I'm feeling like using Trezor suite one day, I could use that. And if I'm feeling like using Sparrow wallet another day, I could use that. So anyway, we can see that I received that 98,871 sats earlier, and then I sent out the 52,215 sats later on. Receiving, pretty self-explanatory. You get addresses here. Here's your list of addresses. You can go ahead and label things. Again, my Sparrow Wallet video tutorial explains it all in more detail. What I really want to do is highlight sending because that's kind of unique to Trezor. So we'll come to send. And I need an address to pay to, so I'm just going to send this back to Coinbase. Again, not productive financial transactions at all, but good for demonstration purposes. So I'll go ahead and copy this address that they give me, come back over to Sparrow Wallet, plug it in here, label it, so to Coinbase, I'll just do CB, and amount we'll do max. So I'm sending the max amount. I can go ahead and set my fee. Let's look at the mempool real quick, see how big or how full that thing is. So I'll set it at like 21 sats per VByte. So we'll lower it down to like 21.64. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do create transaction and then finalize transaction for signing. And then I need to go ahead and sign it. So click on sign. I have my Trezor 1 unlocked already. Now, if you've spent some time in Sparrow Wallet, you might get locked out of your Trezor and you'd have to sync it again. You might have to enter your PIN again, just like we did when I first set up my wallet here on Sparrow Wallet. So you might have to do that, but I'm already unlocked, so I can just click on sign, and it's signing now. And I can see the message on my Trezor now, confirm sending this much Bitcoin to this address. So I could go ahead and confirm the address by looking at my Trezor and also Coinbase. And then lock time for this transaction is set to block height, whatever. So, okay. And then confirm sending that amount of Bitcoin, this much fees, so confirm. And so there we go. Now I can go ahead and broadcast my transaction. And now it is headed to the mempool. Let's come back out here, go to my transactions, and I have this other unconfirmed one right here. And I'll grab the transaction ID, come over to mempool.space and check it out. So it's in this block right here as well. So, I just got to wait until it confirms and I'll have my Bitcoin back into my Coinbase account. Granted, I'll have lost a couple dollars paying fees, sending it back and forth and stuff like that. So anyway, that's how you can get started with your Trezor on Sparrow Wallet. And again, links in the description down below on the mempool, on UTXOs, on Sparrow Wallet. So there's more stuff to learn, but I can't cover it all right here. And I already have videos on it. So please check out those videos if you're doing on-chain transactions. And hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, I appreciate any sorts of likes, comments, subscribes, anything like that. And or please check out thebtccourse.com. Free website with lots of training about Bitcoin. I'll answer your questions on there. It's just me trying to give back to the Bitcoin community. They've helped me so much, and so I'm just trying to, do my bit to help, give back. So please check it out, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.